Welcome back. We are moving on with our From Masterboard to Journal series of tutorials. This is Lisa with Imagination Sisterhood Studio. And today we are, like I say, moving forward. I cut my finger fixing this tutorial up, slice the heck out of it with my razor knife. Anyway, we've got the masterboard done. We've talked about creating focal points and possibly putting contrasting colors or whatever underneath it. So we've got that all done. The next part is to create the journal cover. I already did this whole project once, so I can show you what it looks like. And actually this time around, I'm going to be doing it completely different. But this is what the finished product looks like. So you can create something just like this by the time we're done. All right. So I have the measurements I want. This next part is just like kind of the same as creating the masterboard. It's kind of up to you what this is going to look like. I can't create your masterboard. I can't tell you exactly what size you want your journal. I like my journals kind of a funky size. So for example, this one is, I don't know, like 4 by, a little less than 4 by 7. I like that size. But you may want a standard size. So it's up to you. You have to decide what size journal you want. I'm going to give you the measurements to make one that's approximately 4 by 7. The first thing we are going to do, so we're done with all of our extras. We may decide to put more on there later. You can decide that once you get your journal all done, you may want a few more of these accent pieces. But for right now, we're just going to leave it as it is. I'm going to move on to creating the cover. And this is the easiest way to me to make a journal because there's no sewing involved. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is choose a piece of cardboard. This can be an old cereal box. It can be like a mac and cheese box is perfect. It would be the perfect, it's almost 4 by 7. So if you had a mac and cheese box, the little tall skinny ones, that probably would be this perfect size. You cut the 2 front and back panels out and you've got your exact measurement. For me, I took, this is an old back from a pad of decorative paper that I just do stuff with. So I measured off, I want 2 pieces that are 4 by 7.5. So I have them all measured out. You can measure yours. Yours can be 5 by 11. The only thing you need to keep in mind as you're cutting it is, unless you have 2 masterboards, it can't be any bigger than this folded in half this way or this folded in half this way. So you need it folded in half. Or you need 2 masterboards, okay? All right, so I know that I can get 2 4 by 7.5 pieces out of this. So 1 masterboard is going to be enough. So the next thing to do is just to cut my cardboard here, and that is how I cut my finger a half an hour ago. Had a brand new blade, and it was very sharp. And I just make sure when I'm using older cardboard, like this has been in my closet for a while, so it's not fresh and new, I just make sure that my corners are sharp. This one had a, you know, it was like, that was the corner. So if you've got a scrunchy corner, cut it off so you have a nice, clean, sharp corner. And that's all the more lessons you need on cardboard. You can use nice heavyweight cardstock. It will give you a lighter, it won't be as solid of a cover, but it's fine. I want these to have a particularly sturdy cover, so that's why I'm using this nice sturdy cardboard. You could use a manila folder, although those are kind of flimsy sometimes, but I have some very thick ones. So a manila folder, if it's a thick one, would work really well. Let's see, let's get this here. And I have it all marked so it's easy. It doesn't take any time. Because I didn't want to hold you up too long with stuff that's pretty basic. I just wanted to make sure that if this is your first time doing this, that you get all the instruction that you need. set that aside. So this is my front and my back, and it's 2 pieces that are 4 by 7.5 inches. So that's my front and my back. The next thing we are going to do is take our masterboard and decide where you want the cover. So I looked around like, okay, which do I want the cover piece to be? Because if I cut it, let's say here, for example, like this, let's cover this up so you can see. That's not very interesting. So if I use that as my cover, I'm going to need to put some more accent piece. You know, I'm going to cut some more flowers. I'm going to have to put something more on that because that's not very decorative by itself. If I use this right here as my cover, that's very pretty. It's got a lot going on. I still might need something else because not a lot going on down here, but that's a lot prettier than, or a lot more interesting to me than that. This has got this nice big flower, so that makes a lovely cover. So just kind of play around with your 2 pieces of cardboard and say, okay, well, if this is my cover, you know, what do I want to see? I just decided to go straight. I'm just not even looking at it because I'll decorate mine later. All right, so here's where the measuring comes in place. And I decided to work from the outside in. So I have my piece that's 4 by 7. And you want your next measurement to be 1/2 inch bigger on all sides. And that will allow you paper to fold over the top and give you a nice finished, I can't see it on here. It'll give you a nice finished edge. So you just want whatever the size of your book is. This is 4 by 7. You want it give yourself 1/2 inch on each side. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut my paper, cut this one section off. So we'll have 2 sections that I'm all ready to go. So this one's ready to go. Nope, didn't cut through. Sharp enough to cut through my finger, but not sharp enough to cut through this paper. Gee, okay. So that's the one piece. And you can see it's 1/2 inch bigger on all 4 sides. So that piece is perfect. Now we're going to do this piece. I'm going to cut off this extra end first because it's bigger than I need. That'll give me a little pretty piece to play with later. Stick that with my papers. And so now I have 2 pieces ready to go. Okay. All right. And I just realized I'm going to have to pause this a minute because I don't have my backing papers here. I don't have any backing papers with me. I wonder if I can use this. Is that big enough? No, not big enough. All right. Okay, we are ready to glue. So let's get some glue on here. And you really want to make sure this is glued well around the outside edge where you're gluing it down. And then some good glue in the middle. I love art glitter glue, so that's what I use. You can use art glitter glue dries kind of quickly though, then just so you know. You can use Fabri-Tac. I have this, it's called Ultimate Crafter's Glue. I like that. The art glitter glue is my favorite. It doesn't have anything to do with glitter, just what they named it. I don't know why. Somebody needs to go back and ask them because it confuses me. And every time you see somebody post it on Facebook, they're like, it has nothing to do with glitter. All right, so we're going to make sure that's nice and gluey, gluey. I can tell I have a couple pieces that are poking up, so I'll have to go back in there with my little bit of glue and fix those up. And then let's glue this one. Alrighty. And I'm just gluing around where that edge is, where the edge of my cardboard is going to go, so that I know I have a good, it's really going to stick well where that edge is. And stick this one on. don't know about where you are, but where I am, it is sunny today, and I am happy, happy, happy. Oh, looks like my cardboard's a little bit crookedy here. Something's crooked. Let me see what I got going on here. Right there, you can see it's not quite right, so let's see if I cut it crooked. 7.5. Yeah, it's a little bit crookedy there. I think I'm just going to go with it because of the kind of book that I'm doing. I don't think it's going to matter all that much. What I have done in the past, and I may do that right now, is I may just cut a little tiny sliver. I'm just going to put a little tiny sliver in there because I do not want to cut new cardboard. Very little sliver. And I'm going to glue that on there, and that'll take up just a little bit of that slack. But once I fold the paper over, it'll be fine. It won't matter. I just need to be a little aware so I don't fold that particular corner as tight as I normally would. So it doesn't obviously, God, I don't have my glasses on so I can't see where the pin goes in the hole of my glue. There we go. All right, let's put this on here, right? And that's the perfect amount. Wonderful. Yeah. So that took up the difference. And that'll be perfect. By the time I fold it over and glue it all in place, it will be just fine. All right, we're going to let that one set. This one had a chance to dry. The next thing is to clip your corners. And you're going to give yourself about, so here's where the two corners intersect. And you're going to go about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4. I don't think it's as much as 1/4. Let me see. Yeah, it's about 1/8. So go 1/8 of an inch out, and you can mark it with your pencil if you want, just to make sure you don't get too close. So I just want to make sure I have a little bit of that paper to fold over as I make my cover. And then you're just going to cut in here at an angle. There's no magic number. You can buy like a what's it called? Like a template, and you put over it and it shows you. But it's so you're just going to cut it a little bit like that. It's a little bit of an angle. Don't go all crazy on your angles. It's just a little bit of an angle. Cut across there and a little bit of an angle. Little bit of an angle, cut across, a little bit, cut across, a little bit. And now we are ready, and I'm going to take a bone folder. You can do this with your hand if you want. You don't have to have a bone folder to do this. I just happen to have one ready, and I'm just going to fold it up around that a little bit. And that way when I glue it, it's pretty stiff because of all of the masterboard that you've done underneath. So this will fold it a little bit easier because it's going to be kind of hard to get that to fold with all the layers of paper on there. And I'm holding this down so that I can push the paper up around it because it's really stiff. It does really not want to fold. And especially right here, I'll show you in a second. This side has this extra backing. It has several layers, so it's really contrary. It really does not want to bend because I put that purple cardstock underneath that flower to make it pop, but it made that extra layer. So that is going to be hard to get to bend there. I'm just going to be doubly prepared for this and do all the curving now. This is not normally hard to do, but I don't want to have a problem with it once I'm trying to glue it and it doesn't stay down. So I'm going to go ahead and take the time to really crease it right now. You'll see when I do the other sides. The other sides are easy peasy. This one's just very thick and it doesn't want to fold. All right. this came separated, so I'm gonna put some more glue on there because it came apart. That extra, had I been thinking about it, I would not have put this flower on the edge. I would have moved it over so that I wasn't trying to fold 4 thicknesses of paper, because that's really hard to do. It's very contrary. All right, so let's get this to glue. And you know what? I'm going to move to the other one. I'm going to put this on here. We'll put a clip on here right now, because that needs to get glued back together. And we will move to the other side. Perfect. All right, so this is normally what you would do. You wouldn't have all that trouble. You're going to stick glue right here along the edge where that cardboard meets the paper. And that'll give you a nice tight seal, your cover paper to your cardboard. And then just a little bit of glue. But don't go wild crazy. You don't need wild crazy glue. And then we'll fold that over. And you can see this side folds much easier than the other side. It still is a little tough because it's, you know, I wasn't thinking about making, the first one I did, I was very aware that I was making a cover. This one I was just more focused for the demo purposes of making a masterboard. So, otherwise I would have kept the layers thinner towards this outside edge. Ow, my finger really hurts. All right, and we're gonna, this little corner, you wanna get this corner all the way tucked in there. And that way when you go to fold this one over, it'll be right where it needs to be. All right, and that looks like it is holding nicely. Wonderful. That's the benefit of art glitter glue, is it really holds. Once it holds, it holds. All right, and let's do this side. Get that glue right in that edge where the paper meets the cardboard. And you can be a little generous there. If you're not using art glitter glue and you're using a glue that takes a little longer to dry, you don't want to be like globbing it on, because you'll have to hold it in place forever. Have some clips ready then, because it'll take a while for it to dry if you put a ton of glue in there. All right. And I'm getting my little corner up here, just making sure that gets tucked in a little and glued down. Of course, this side doesn't want to stick because it's so daggone thick. All right. That'll do it. And now let's do the top and the bottom. Whoops. So I was noticing some masterboards on different websites, mostly Facebook groups that people had made. And one of the things that I noticed is that it's obvious people that have cut their pieces that they're using very square. They've cut everything square. So they cut all the flowers, you know, they cut them out in square shapes. They cut the background papers in square shapes. Everything was in square shapes, and it makes the masterboard, it gives a very different look to it. So that's, it looks, has a much more structured look to it. And not sure what the word is. It's not a bad thing. I just think you need to be aware that if you're, you know, if you chose to cut instead of ripping, because I was, when I demonstrated it, I was showing it to rip. If you choose to cut and you're cutting in very definite square shapes, your pattern is going to have very definite edges to it. Where mine, because I tear everything, it's got a lot of softer, and ink, it's got a lot of softer edges. There's no right, there's no wrong. I'm just letting you know that if you did it and you decided to cut and yours doesn't look like mine, one of the reasons is you may have a lot of square edges, that's all. I just thought it was worth commenting on, because I know I didn't say anything as I was making mine, and I did notice a very distinct look that is different with the people that I saw, that I could tell they had cut everything out. Torn looks a little more like a puzzle. Cut looks a little more like a checkerboard. That would be a good way to describe it. All right. And we're doing our last side here. And I just want to make sure those corners are tucked down so they're covered in. Ooh, that one's hanging out a little bit. Get in there. And fold this down. Normally, if this is regular paper, you do not need clips, but because this is a masterboard with several layers, excuse me, it's being a little stubborn about folding over. All right, so that's one cover done. Looks like I have to do some repair work. My thumb is bleeding on my masterboard. Okie dokie. We got a little piece hanging out here that didn't want to fold, so that's fine. We're just going to trim that off. Lovely. That's perfect. Let's do this second one. All right, so we've got our front and back covers. We may have to go back in and trim, like there's a piece right here that's not making the turn, it's just not making the curve, and that's fine. So we're just gonna trim that off. It may need a little extra glue. You may find some edges that need some glue once you get this in place. Okay. The next thing we are going to do is put a back on this. And this is not one of Paulette's papers. I created this paper to go with Paulette's papers. So we are just waiting for these to dry a little bit. The next thing we're going to do is measure this for the front and back. And I'm going to trim this because I want the white edge off. If anybody has an edge-to-edge printer that they have and they love, I would love to know which one you like, because I have tried 2 different machines and not been happy with either one. So if you have one you like, put it in the comment. That would be great, and then I will have it when I sell enough journals to buy a new printer. All right. So now we're just going to measure I want to make sure I get my right side up going the right way here. This is the top. So I want to make sure that this is the top. And you want to put this about, I don't know, like 1/8. You know, look at a book that you have at home, a hardbound. And you can see it's about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And just mark that where that is. And go ahead and cut that twice, because you need one for the front and one for the back. So I'll have 2 pieces of that. cut this off here. Cut the bottom off because it's too long. And I'm thinking I'm going to make this, although it's almost the same size as the first one I made to try this project out, I think I'm going to bind this one at the top. So that'll be fun. That'll be a little bit different. Oh, one more cut. Right here in the middle. Where is my mark? Oh, here it is. Here's my mark in the middle. Oh, okay. Whoops. Looks like I cut that a little off. I think it's going to be okay, but it's going to be too big on this side. Just need to shave that off. Perfect. And now we need to do a little inky dinky do. So here's something I like to do. This is kind of light. It's a nice weight paper. It's not cheapy printer paper, but it is light and it's hard to ink. So I stick a metal, you could use plastic, a ruler underneath the edge, and that way the ink really scrapes off on it nice. Hard for me to do because of my sliced thumb here. But that makes the ink go on really nice and keeps your paper from getting, sometimes your paper, I don't know, sometimes my paper does anyway. It gets all crumpled up because I'm trying to ink it. So this way you're just got a nice firm edge to ink on. That works out really well to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just my thing. This bottom part I'll probably be covering up with a pocket or something, so it won't be that important that it's all white. I actually created this paper so that you could do I have a folding project that you can do, and this gets folded up so you actually don't see it. All right, good to go. And now we're just going to glue this on. That's it. It's that easy. And back cover, got a little issue going on there. We'll have to fix that. Both are front and back cover. And that completes this section. In part 4, we will complete the journal, which will include punching the holes, adding paper, making divider pages, and adding the no-sew binding. Thanks for joining me. This is Lisa at Imagination Sisterhood Studio.